It was a quiet afternoon in the library when two renowned historians met to discuss the legacy of John F. Kennedy. They were both well-versed in 20th century American history, but they had vastly different interpretations of Kennedy's impact on the nation and the world. Their conversation quickly turned into a lively debate, showcasing their deep knowledge and differing perspectives.
I've always believed that Kennedy's legacy is one of inspiration and progress. He had a vision for a better America, and his speeches still resonate with people today.
I don't deny that he was a charismatic leader, but we have to look beyond the rhetoric. His presidency was marked by significant failures and missed opportunities. The Bay of Pigs invasion, for instance, was a complete disaster that damaged the United States' reputation internationally.
True, the Bay of Pigs was a significant blunder, but you can't ignore his handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy's leadership during that period prevented a nuclear war. His diplomatic skills and resolve in negotiating with Khrushchev were crucial in de-escalating the situation.
Kennedy did manage to avoid a nuclear war, but let's not forget that the Cuban Missile Crisis was partly a result of his own actions, like the aggressive stance towards Cuba and the placement of American missiles in Turkey. Moreover, his administration was responsible for increasing American involvement in Vietnam, which later turned into a quagmire.
Vietnam was indeed a tragic escalation, but Kennedy's policies were part of a larger Cold War strategy to contain communism. He inherited a complex situation, and while his decisions were controversial, they were in line with the prevailing anti-communist sentiment of the time.
Kennedy's stance on civil rights is often lauded, but we should remember that he was initially reluctant to take strong action. It was only after significant pressure from civil rights leaders and the increasing visibility of the movement that he decided to support the Civil Rights Act. Even then, it was Lyndon B. Johnson who ultimately pushed it through Congress after Kennedy's assassination.
You raise a valid point about his initial hesitance, but Kennedy's eventual support for civil rights was pivotal. His administration laid the groundwork for the landmark legislation that followed. He also appointed Thurgood Marshall to the federal bench, which was a significant step in promoting racial equality.
Kennedy's economic policies are another area of debate. His tax cuts did spur economic growth, but they also contributed to rising deficits. His approach to economic policy was more conservative than people often acknowledge.
Kennedy's tax cuts were designed to stimulate the economy, and they succeeded in that regard. They helped to reduce unemployment and increase economic output. While deficits did rise, the economic growth that resulted from these policies set the stage for a prosperous decade.
But we can't overlook the fact that Kennedy's presidency was cut short. Many of his policies and plans were left unfinished, and it's hard to say definitively how they would have played out if he had served a full term or even been re-elected. His assassination left a legacy of unfulfilled potential and speculation about what might have been.
Indeed, his untimely death means we can only speculate about the full impact of his presidency. However, the fact that his memory has endured and that he continues to inspire people is a testament to his impact. His vision for a space program, for instance, culminated in the moon landing in 1969, a remarkable achievement that fulfilled his ambitious goal.
Speaking of space, while Kennedy's push for space exploration was visionary, it was also driven by Cold War competition with the Soviet Union. The space race was as much about demonstrating American superiority as it was about scientific discovery.
That's true, but the technological and scientific advancements that resulted from the space race have had lasting benefits. Kennedy's commitment to space exploration galvanized national support for NASA and led to numerous innovations that have since become integral to modern life.
In terms of foreign policy, Kennedy's approach to Latin America through the Alliance for Progress was a mixed bag. While it aimed to promote economic development and democracy, it often fell short of its goals and sometimes supported authoritarian regimes that aligned with U.S. interests.
The Alliance for Progress had its flaws, but it was an attempt to address poverty and inequality in the region. Kennedy recognized the importance of fostering good relations with Latin American countries to counter the spread of communism. It wasn't perfect, but it represented a proactive approach to international development.
Let's not forget Kennedy's role in the creation of the Peace Corps. This initiative had a profound impact on America's image abroad and contributed to international development and goodwill. Thousands of volunteers have since worked in education, health, and other sectors around the world, embodying Kennedy's ideal of service.
The Peace Corps is indeed one of Kennedy's enduring legacies. It reflects his belief in the power of individuals to make a difference globally. This initiative helped to foster a spirit of volunteerism and international cooperation that continues to this day.
In terms of domestic policy, Kennedy's efforts to address poverty and inequality set the stage for the Great Society programs that followed. His focus on issues like healthcare and education highlighted the need for government intervention to address social issues.
Kennedy's New Frontier had ambitious goals, but many of his proposals faced strong opposition in Congress. It was Johnson who managed to push through significant legislation like Medicare and Medicaid. Kennedy's vision was important, but it was Johnson's political skill that brought many of those ideas to fruition.
That's fair. Kennedy's ability to inspire and articulate a vision was one of his greatest strengths, even if he didn't see all of his policies come to fruition. His speeches, like his inaugural address and his call to put a man on the moon, still resonate with people today.
In the end, Kennedy's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a charismatic leader who faced significant challenges and made some critical mistakes. However, his ability to inspire, his vision for a better America, and his handling of crises like the Cuban Missile Crisis cannot be overlooked.
Absolutely. Kennedy's legacy is a blend of triumphs and failures, but his impact on American history is undeniable. He remains a figure who symbolizes hope and progress, even as we critically examine the full scope of his presidency.
As the two historians continued their spirited discussion, they acknowledged that understanding Kennedy's legacy requires a nuanced approach. It's about recognizing his achievements and shortcomings, understanding the context of his decisions, and appreciating the lasting influence of his leadership.